Hello there, everyone. It's your boy Hunt back with another fantastic episode of Tabletop Recap. We also have Big Boy Chungus here today,
Hello.
co-hosting. And today we are doing part 14 of our Baldur's Gate Descend into Avernus playthrough from Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. Yes, and we had a very short one last week, and you did hear that episode, but this time we got a lot done. We started an hour earlier, and that was a good call. It was a very good call, even though nobody remembered we were starting an hour
It's about
earlier.
a 4.5, 5 hour session today.
It was a good one. It was a very good one. But just to name the players real quick, we have Connor the Trading Card Goblin playing Corvus, the half-elf unearthed arcana warlock of the Raven Queen, and he has an imp familiar and also a raven that he gets from her as well, and all his broken unearthed arcana stuff as well. We have Maestan Balastar, who is a paladin of Bahamut. Of course, he is a dragonborn, and he's doing okay. He's got his buddy Lulu, who is a little holyphant, a little miniature holyphant. And then you got me, the big boy, Drizzt Grand, best character and best play. I'm just screwing around.
Drizzt grand old time.
Yeah, Drizzt Grand. He is our drow fighter and our hell expert. Yeah, lived there for a long time.
And he does so much good for the party, and they continue to treat him like garbage.
These guys, I am a king, and they treat me just like a thing. But yeah, so now let's get into that. I don't think we had any other NPCs or anything today. Keocat and D-Legend did not play today. Keocat won't be playing for a while because she is about to be a big old fancy doctor and has to do her thesis stuff. So we'll just wait till they're ready. But until then, still got the three of us and our little side characters as well.
Yes.
So, you give me a very short recap, just a couple sentences over last week's session.
So, for our last week's session, the party rescued Lulu from the Hellwasp nest. They returned to the Wandering Emporium to wrap up any loose ends or missions that they had to do. Corvus agreed not to follow through on the Warlord ambush mission, and they learned some information about Charir, the Red Abishai for Tiamat. They then left to go to a location called the Demon Zapper, where they found a unicorn being used to kill demons like a bug zapper. And from there they met a Dao, or Earth Genie, who was willing to help them stop Zariel if they could help free her from her bonds to the Demon Zapper. So she asked them that if they could free her, she would give them a letter of introduction to the ex-Archdevil Bell, who could help them further. She told them to go to a diviner who could help her better understand her contract and how to free her in a place known as the Bone Brambles. And that is where the party last left off, was driving just outside the Bone Brambles border.
Neat. So, we all pull up, and when we do, mine came in a little after theirs, so I still have some gas. But their infernal war machine ran out of gas. And apparently Myastan's plan the entire time was, once it ran out of gas, to just abandon it. Even though they have a few soul coins. And Corvus was like, oh, we'll just pop a soul coin in. And Myastan was like, no, I refuse to let you. He was like, and Connor just kind of gave in. Like, after...
Drizzt also explained to them that not all souls in the soul coins are good, and that there are ways to find out what kind of soul is in a soul coin.
But then they didn't ask me how to do that.
Yeah,
so.
and no one followed through on that. Like, my stand was not even willing to find a gray scale to this situation.
Yeah, they wouldn't take me up on showing them how to figure it out, but...
I'm not going to do it for you. As the DM, I refuse to make choices for you.
And Drizzt was like, I mean, I'm going to drive my thing around. I'll just go no matter what. So we did that, and they were eventually just like, we'll settle it once we come back out. So we left our war machines outside, and we walk into this forest. 2 of us fail our 3 survival checks. I rolled a nat 1. First roll of the day, nat 1. And we had to fight a bunch of shambling mounds.
Yeah, the party got ambushed by shambling mounds, which you guys did actually pretty well against. They engulfed you a couple times, but you guys aced your constitution saves each time you got engulfed.
Yeah, none of us had to really suffer that consequence.
Yeah, so that was really good. And then after you guys got out of that, you guys managed to make it to the Diviner's home, which you found out was another night hag by the name of Red Ruth. And she's rather disturbing. She has like all these animal and humanoid body parts littering her yard, I guess you could say. And she's got like this underground cave.
Like a burrow.
Yeah, like a burrow home. And outside the burrow, she's got this cauldron pot boiling over a fire with mysterious, smelly liquids bubbling in it. And you actually gave me some high praise that my hag game was on point.
Yeah, I liked how you played the hag. My character likes hags. He gets along with hags well. So he was very into that role play.
And so, let's see. So Drizzt first says, so what do you do here? And she says, oh, I make potions and tell fortunes. And he says, oh, well, what kind of potions do you make?
Yeah, I remember what Corvus did. He was like, I'm going to hide behind a rock. And then I was like, okay, well, Drizzt's just going to go talk to her. And Corvus was like, no. I was like, it's just go talk to her. And I did. And then Maestan pointed out Corvus's hiding place to the hag, which was a weird thing to do. But,
and just
whatever.
to clarify Red Ruth's appearance, she does have burgundy-colored skin and horns like a regular night hag, but she's got this necklace of infant skulls from various humanoids that
Burgundy's not really a regular night hag color, is it?
It's not, but if you look at like Mad Maggie from the photograph, she almost has like a regular skin tone compared to like Red Ruth.
Okay.
But anyways, the infant skulls are all chattering like nursery rhymes in different languages, and it's just a really creepy thing to imagine. And I think that kind of made Corvus freak out a little bit.
It was pretty cool. It was weird. You better get used to that stuff when Call of Cthulhu comes around.
Mm-hmm. That would have cost you an insanity check.
Yeah, that would have been a sanity check for sure.
And so Red Ruth, first off, Drizzt wanted to buy a potion, and so she, according to Red Ruth, she makes random potions. And the reason it's random is because hag potions are not the same as regular magic potions, because hags go through recipes and magical procedures much different than, say, a wizard or a sorcerer in the material plane.
Yeah, they got like access to all kinds of, not forbidden, just forgotten knowledge, more like.
Pretty much, and it's hags like have their own family recipes, if you want to call them that. So you're not going to find a book that tells you how to make hag potions. But you did get one for free because you were just such a smooth talker.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, potion. I have like, since my character's kind of new, I have like no real items or anything. I have like no magic items, no potions or anything. So I was like, potion opportunity, and she was like, oh, you can. She wanted a soul coin, and she was like, I can sell you this greater potion or this lesser potion. And I was like, soul coin's a little rich for a potion when I don't know what it does. As persuasion, rolled a nat 20, and then she was like, just take it.
Yeah,
So I rolled a nat 1 and then immediately a nat 20.
Yeah, she said that, oh, go ahead and take this one as a new customer, but only if you promise to be a return customer.
Which my guy will definitely do if he does not leave
Hell.
Avernus at the end. Which he might not, actually.
But we'll have to see. Depends on where he stands with the party.
Yeah, because he doesn't really have anything at the surface to go to. We got his backstory today, so we'll get to that in just a moment.
Mm-hmm. So she then addresses the whole party and says, what brings you to my humble abode? And the party says, yeah, we're looking for a way to release this Tao named Ralzala from her servitude to this thing called the Demon Zapper. She's like, oh yeah, I had a vision about that Tao, but I had no idea when and where I'd meet regarding her. And she says, what can I do? And she says, and the party says, well, we're looking for a way to free her. And her contract's a little bit muddled. Even she couldn't really understand the details when she signed it. And we were wondering if you could help us. And so she first says, okay, I'd be more than happy to do that. Just pay me some soul coins for my troubles. And the party's like, we don't want to do that. Because
we have so few.
Yeah. Even though like Ralzal already gave them one for payment.
Yeah, but I knew we were going to keep that and not use it as payment.
Yeah, and so the party
and when you gave it to us, I was like, there's no way we give that to the hag, because I knew it was going to be a hag.
And so the party said, is there any other way that you could either like reduce the cost, make it something else, or give it to us for free? And she says, well, there's one way. And she says, I don't know if you can tell, but I haven't bathed in a while. Feels like 1,000 years or so. So I am looking and have been planning to go to Mahadi's Wandering Emporium spa for a while now. And she said, if you just watch my home, do a little house sitting for about a day, 24 hours, and you do a good job, I'll give you a fortune for free. And that should tell you where your path leads next for freeing your Tao friend. And the party's like, I don't know. And so they incite her, and she's 100% being honest. But she wants them to sign a contract. However, Corvus incited really well, and it turned out Red Ruth was not being 100% transparent, because her home of the Bone Brambles was literally ripped straight from the Feywilds, and all of the denizens that were living in that patch at the time got dragged to hell with her and have since become corrupted evil spirits.
Yeah.
So they don't mess with her because she keeps them in line, but if she leaves her home vulnerable to being destroyed. So she told the party, under pain of contract, that if they successfully defend and watch her home, that she would give them what she wanted. And if they couldn't, then she would leave in a huff and send them on their way with nothing. Pretty straightforward. No treachery, no issues of any kind. And the party agreed, but I don't think they were expecting the type of contract that Red Ruth had them sign. Where after they looked over the actual apartment with the terms, the way they signed the contract was by inscribing it into the flesh of a wretched humanoid.
Yeah, my guy had no problem with that. He was like, oh, okay, we're using flesh. All right.
Yeah, so Mad Maggie pulls out this metal pen and then summons this guy who's got his nose and ears cut off, his eyes and mouth sewn shut, and his arms are bound in a way that they can't move, and all he can do is moan and mumble and walk around. And she hands the pen to Drizzy, and she says, just write your name on the back here, and I'll write my name under yours, and the deal will be struck. And they did, and everyone listened as this guy screamed.
Yeah.
You literally cut your names into his flesh.
Corvus and Maya Stan were just over there like, we're just not going to say anything. We're just not.
What the heck?
And then Drizzy, who's just evil and lived in hell for 100 years, is like, oh, okay, flesh. Yeah, that's pretty standard.
Yeah. So they sign it, and the deal is struck, and Red Ruth hops in her still full and bubbling cauldron and grabs the giant spoon that's in it, and then flies off to Mahadi's Wandering Emporium, which she located it by using a divination spell with her own blood. And she said, I'll be back after a day. And the party had about 10 hours to set up defensive measures and do what they wanted.
Yeah, so I barricaded her burrow hole, so if someone got past us, they couldn't get in her burrow and mess with all her stuff. Corvus had his imp and raven flying around to let us know when anything was coming, which was a very good call. And then also, Maya Stan was very interested in my backstory. He remembered my necklace, because when they first met me 2 sessions ago, which was like a month and a half ago in real life, I pointed out, I was like, my guy's in like leather armor that looks like it's been patched up so many times that none of the original leather is left. And he's got like a cloak and goggles and a gaiter for riding on his motorcycle. And around his neck is a necklace with a ring on it. And he asked me how I came to be in hell and stuff. And basically, my guy's backstory is he was a scout with an elite team of Drow soldiers that lived in the Underdark, and they were like a team that's sent out of the Underdark for missions. Like most of the Drow guys just stay in the Underdark and do their stuff there.
Yeah.
And I was an outside the Underdark team, which is actually what my goggles are from. They're the goggles for when I'm out in the sun.
Yeah.
But they work as dust goggles in Avernus. And they aren't too dark because I got super dark vision. But he went on a mission, came back, and his wife just had left him and married some other Drow. So they were like, "What's that ring?" And I was like, "Oh, it's my late wife's wedding ring." And they were like, "Oh, condolences." And he was like, "What do you mean condolences? Putting my pickaxe in her skull was one of the best days of my life."
Very morbid.
He's like, "Oh, she left me pickaxe to the skull." But since women run Drow society,
very matriarchal.
and stuff, his punishment, he was like tricked into a punishment. They were like, "All right, your team is going to Avernus for a mission." And then they plane shifted into Avernus, and he went ahead to scout, and the rest of them just plane shifted out. They just bounced.
Forget you, Drizzt.
Yeah, they were like, "That's your punishment. You get to go to hell early, but we're not going to kill you, so you have to suffer even more." So after he did that, he was like, "Wow, my goddess, let this happen." So he kind of gave the middle finger to that spider lady. What's her name? I don't remember.
Lulf.
Okay. Yeah, I couldn't remember. But he's just been surviving down there ever since. Just in hell.
Yeah, and I give everyone a fate point because there was about a good 15 minutes of really good in-group roleplay between Corvus, Mystand, and Drizzt. And Lulu.
Yeah, little Lulu. In the Shambling Mound fight, she was the only one to help me, because we've had several combats since Drizzt came in, and Corvus and Myastin always help each other, and Drizzt's just left by himself to fight whatever he's fighting. And Lulu was the first. After several combats, Lulu came and helped him, and he was like, "You're not so bad, Elephant," because he kind of thought that she was
holier than thou.
The source of most of their troubles.
She kind of does, let's be honest.
Yeah.
She gets into so much trouble.
But then she helped him out, and he was like, "You're not so bad."
And then, so after 10 hours, and everyone got a good chance to do some role play, rest up, do some attunement stuff if they wanted to, and along with other downtime activities, the Corvus's Ravens picked up some movement.
Dude, how did we forget my quadruple crit?
Oh, yes, that's right.
Or there was a Shambling Mound, I quadruple critted, did 5 times damage, and I...
4 times damage.
No, because it was 2 hits, one of them was quadruple critted, 5.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So normal damage on one, quad on another, it's 5 times.
Yeah.
So... I did that on a Shambling Mound, which somehow still didn't kill it after several hits.
It was at max health, and you did about 1/3 of its total health.
Max health? I'd hit it several times.
You want to know how much HP Shambling Mounds have? Almost as much as that big enemy in this next fight we're going to talk about.
But why was it at max health? I'd hit it several times before that.
Oh, no. You did do 1/3 of its total HP, but no, yeah, you're right. It wasn't at max health.
Okay, I was like very confused. I was like, were you not taking...
Yeah, no, I was. I'll even show you my notes.
No, I don't need to see you struggling to subtract 2 from 3 or whatever. So
Drizzt starts off with 1 level of exhaustion next game.
No! He's the only one that doesn't park 200 feet away from everywhere and walk.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. That's just something they do. But... So we... It's an armored vehicle. It's safer if you pull all the way up. Why? It's so stupid. But, so Drizzt, did like 5 times the damage, and it was super cool. And yesterday on the phone, Connor told me, "You'll never use that feat the way you've set it up to work." And then it's like, immediately I did it.
Yeah, that was awesome.
And he was like,
"Wow,
I was wrong."
Pickaxe, and I'm like, "Oh, 4 times damage. Ooh."
Yeah, we got a weird thing going on. It's hard to explain, but it's a lot of stuff stacked. And I have a Piercer feat now that I took after we leveled up last time, so I can re-roll.
Which, since all your weapons do piercing damage anyways, that's really good for you.
Yeah, great stuff. But yeah, now back to the regular fight. So the first 2 enemies were some elf banshee.
Yeah, they were technically called drow spirits, but they use the banshee stat block. And these banshees made it very clear after the party had set their stuff up that they were here to get vengeance on Red Ruth for doing what she did to them, and they were not interested. And Corvus said he had this whole plan. He's like, I've got this warlock ability that allows me to coat myself in flies and scare people. And I said, okay, go ahead and try that. And he rolled really high. But what he didn't realize is that banshees have immunity to fear and frightening. So it didn't matter how hard he wanted to fear them. Anything short of a nat 20 would not have driven them away. And then once everyone decided to climb in around her, they decided to use their main primary ability, the Banshee's Wail. And everyone surprisingly did well on their Constitution saving throws, except for Corvus and Lulu.
They went to 0.
Who immediately went to 0.
Wah, wah.
And so we automatically start the fight off with a handicap. And even Corvus was like, okay, this is where the team wipes. This is where we wipe.
Luckily, we had a full lay on hands that Maestan could use on him.
Yeah, Maestan came to the rescue, and someone he gave 15 points to Corvus and 10 to Lulu, bringing them both up to stable condition with low health. And then after the first round of combat, I told the players, I said, all of a sudden you hear and feel the ground shake, similar to the Shambling Mound fight, but this is much more violent, and it actually does feel like an earthquake this time. And all of a sudden you see this massive tree figure emerge from the brambles, covered in black and white rotted tree bark and wood, and there's corpses that make up part of its body. And this is basically just an undead version of a treant. So you have 2 banshees and a treant going into combat now, and the party's like, oh no, this is not good. Not good at all. And so the treant comes in, and he just immediately throws a boulder at Drizzt.
I was like, okay, cool, what's the save? And you were like,
There is
save?
No save. It makes an attack roll. If it hits your AC or if it meets the requirements to hit you, then you just take damage. And I think you took like 26 damage from the rock.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, you took a big chunk of damage.
You were so happy to use that treant miniature.
I got to use a bunch of miniatures that I've been waiting to use for a while today.
Yeah, you bought that treant like right when you got into the game, just because you found a cheap one from comicsplusamaking.com, and you've just been sitting on it. And this is the part you've been so excited for because you knew you'd get to use your treant.
Yeah, and the fight started. The fight started looking a little bit in favor of the players because they realized that this tree seems to be weak against fire. Go figure. And so Maestan's like, okay, I'm going to use my fire breath on it and some other fiery effects. Finally use that dadgum circlet of blasting that he's had for like 4 sessions already.
Yeah, before the game started today, you and I were both like, guys, you need to use your magical items because you have a ton of them and you never use them. And and I was like, guys, if you're not going to use some of these, throw them my way because I got a normal crossbow and a normal pick, and that's it. That and a shield, but I have nothing magical or anything.
Yeah, and Corvus was like, well, I'm holding on to these for like just in case of emergency situations, even though he's either chosen not to use them or has never been in a situation that he's going to use them.
Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen?
So yeah, and then the treant during the middle of the fight uses its ability, which is literally called just Awaken Trees, where it essentially summons 2 more treants that have intelligence and charisma of 1, which means they're super. They're basically just clones of the treant. They can't do anything else other than fight. And so now you've got 3 treants and 2 weak banshees fighting the party, and everyone's like, "Oh God, oh no." But luckily, they learned from their fight with the necromancer when it comes to a fight where people just summon things to just attack the person or thing who summoned them.
Wild.
So basically, they wind up killing one of the banshees, and everyone just decides to pile on the treant that summoned the other trees, and they do manage to kill it.
They learned their lesson from the necromancer several episodes ago.
And Corvus actually used a new spell that he picked up since leveling up last, called Blight, which deals extra damage to any creature that is of the plant type, which this treant was, despite being covered in corpses. So what he did was he casted this spell, and the treant went from like 106 to 34 HP. He did like 64 damage in one go. Big oofs.
Wah wah wee wah.
And so the tree was hurting. And going back and forth, the party managed to get the upper hand and change the direction of the fight. Took a lot of damage again, but they managed to fend off the banshees and the treants finally after like 7 rounds of combat.
Wild.
So they successfully defended Redroot's home, and they waited and licked their wounds for her return. When she did, she held up her end of the contract, and she told them where to find... First off, she told them what the contract required in order to free her. And they needed to find the blood of a titan and have the Tao consume it. And they're like, where the heck do you find Titan's blood in Avernus? And she said, well, I have one idea, but I don't know if you'll be able to get the Titan's blood right away. And they're like, okay, what? And she said, there's this place called Uldrak's Grave, and you need to go talk to Uldrak at this site. Which kind of confused some of the players, because it's called Uldrak's Grave, but Uldrak is very much still alive.
Yeah, they were like, how can he be here if he's dead? And then I leaned over and I was like, guys, this is one of the places souls go when they die. I mean, I knew that he wasn't actually dead as a player, but my character didn't know.
Yeah, and so basically she tells me, so yeah, you go talk to Uldrak, but just so you know, he's not exactly what he used to be. And then she cackles, and the party, she tells the party to go ahead and, they can root through the corpses of the trees and any banshee goo that they come across, like ectoplasm, and keep whatever they find. Whatever they take is less she has to clean up later. And so the party did find some stuff. Your character, Drizzt, managed to find some leather scraps to outfit and repair his armor.
Which he thought was great. He does leather working. Well, it was great until everyone else pulled their loot out of it anyways.
Well, you also rolled the lowest on perception. You didn't find as much stuff. And Corvus rolled the second highest, so he actually found a pack full of money and a single soul coin. And then Myastan rolled the highest, and he actually found what he would later discover to be the hilt of a magic sword of Lathander, specifically a sunblade, which is basically just a magical lightsaber that is specifically targeting undead creatures, which he thought was cool.
Yeah, that's actually my favorite magic item. But it's not something that would go well with Drizzt, so I'm not jealous. You're jealous.
I've got some magic items for Drizzt in the future. You just have to make sure that you roll high on perception and search stuff more.
Yeah, if there's a time thing, Drizzt usually doesn't search. But if there's not, like there was here, then, searchy.
Right. From there, the party departs Redroot's lair with no incident, except for how they were going to refuel their car.
Yeah.
So...
Oh my god, this was fun. So Drizzt was like, I'm going to get in there, see if I can work some things around and maybe get a little more out of your gas tank, because I've had my Infernal War Machine forever. And he gets in there and he just kind of starts banging on stuff with the hilt of his war pick, and then he inserts a soul coin.
Which you rolled... I had you roll Deception, because it's like, okay, no one is watching you, but they can clearly hear you.
They can hear the banging.
And Myastan doesn't fully trust Drizzt to do the right thing, so he's like, I'm listening for anything suspicious. And amongst all the banging with the hilt of the pickaxe, he rolled like a nat 20 on insight.
Yeah, he rolled a nat 20.
And so
against my 10.
Yeah, so he he heard you. He knows what a coin slot sounds like.
Yeah, and then I pop out and I'm like, you guys should be good to go for a while.
And he's like, I am so disappointed in you.
He's like, you used a soul coin. And Drizzt was like, so what?
And then he didn't even get mad. He's like, I look at him with pity.
And I was like, is this a situation where Drizzt would be pitied? I was a little, I didn't know what was happening. And then I walked by Corvus and I pull him close and I'm like, you owe me a soul coin.
And he was like, no, I don't.
No, I don't. I'm going to use them for armor, even though that's not going to happen. But, and then I pulled him up by the collar and I was like, you paid me for a job, never took me to the job, took me someplace worse, and put me on Zariel's hit list. The least you could do is give me a soul coin. And then Corvus was like...
Especially after I spent one to fuel your vehicle.
Yeah, and Corvus was like, I didn't do it. That was all my stand. Even though Corvus is the one that hired Drizzt, and Corvus agreed to go to Harmon's Hill. He didn't have to agree to go do that, but he did. So... he's more complicit than my stand when it comes to Drizzt specifically.
He's really pushing that chaotic neutral alignment where he's like, I won't hurt people unless it has an incentive for me.
When he didn't give it to me, I took this long pause out of character because I didn't know a way I was gonna attack him. I didn't know a way out of some kind of combat, and I was like, Drizzt gives you a look like he's fed up. And if he didn't give me the soul coin, I was going to take the soul coin. Right? And he gave me the soul coin. So it worked out.
So the party does, thanks to the aid of Uldrak's tracking abilities as a scout, made their way without hindrance to Uldrak's grave. And Uldrak's grave is not like a graveyard. It is actually this Titanic-sized sword and helmet sticking out of the ground. And when they approach, they hear what sounds like Patrick Warburton, Ron Swanson from Family Guy. And it's just this booming voice coming from inside the helmet. And he's like, who are you and what are you doing on my property? And what was it the party said again? I'm trying to remember.
They just said they were looking for him, I guess.
Yeah, they said, we're looking for Uldrak. Can you help us? And he says, who wants to talk to old Uldrak? No one's going to talk to me in what feels like years. And they said, well, we heard that he was a Titan. And then you could hear, crying coming from inside the helmet. And they're like, well, who are we talking to exactly? And this little spined devil comes out with this same booming voice that they've been hearing for the last few minutes. And he's like, you would be addressing Uldrak himself. Same voice and everything. Big booming voice coming with itty bitty little devil.
Yeah, it was fun. And we were talking to him, and he was like, I thought I could come down here and just take Tiamat all by myself, and I was wrong.
Yeah, Corvus or Maestan was like, well, how did you get down here? And he's like, I used to be a Titan of Surtur on his plane of dominion, and just to prove my strength, I came down to Avernus to challenge the Dragon Queen herself. Boy, that was a mistake. Because she beat him wholeheartedly. He said that she beat him in a few seconds.
Yeah.
And then he had hoped for a quick death just to put him out of his misery and end his humiliation. But she decided to humiliate him further and had him polymorphed into a spine devil. And the conditions for ending his curse was nigh impossible for him that he just gave up and accepted being a spine devil for the rest of eternity.
Yeah, he has to drink some of Tiamat's blood. And he was like, if you guys can get me a bit of Tiamat's blood to drink, I'll turn back into a big old boy and give you some of my blood, because my spine devil blood won't work. And my stand was like, what? Wait. Whoa, wait.
Excuse?
I gotta go get blood from who?
And even Drizzt is like, crap.
The arch nemesis of my god?
The literal Antichrist to my Jesus?
And we were like, why would she give us her blood? And it turns out he had
an artifact known as the Blue Orb of Dragonkind, which
I made sure to take because I did not trust my stand with it.
And my stand, Connor wasn't too interested in doing any kind of checks for this, but you rolled a history, and my stand rolled a religion. You both rolled super high.
I rolled a 19 consistently today, and that's before modifiers.
Yeah, and so, but you both basically remembered that the Orb of Dragonkind is an artifact that was created the orbs of Dragonkind, I should say, were artifacts created thousands of years ago by elves during one of the last great dragon wars on Faerun. They have the essence and souls of a chromatic dragon of each type in each orb. So there's a red orb with a red dragon, blue orb with a blue dragon, green for green, etc., etc. And these orbs were used to turn the dragon's power against them and kill chromatic dragons. After the war, they were scattered throughout the multiverse, deemed too powerful in any other person's hands. And Uldrak happened to have one and challenged it he put it into the hilt of his sword and tried to use it to challenge Tiamat. Normally this would work on regular, even ancient dragons, but Tiamat's the god of chromatic dragons, and you do not challenge her with the souls of her own children.
Or with anything.
Or with anything, really. So Uldrak pops the orb out of the hilt of his sword, and he gives it to the party saying, this is something Tiamat would really be interested in. Use this, and I bet you she'll trade it for her blood.
Yeah. So we took that to Arkhan's tower.
Which Uldrak also gave instructions to. Because he said that you won't be able to talk to her directly at this moment, because she is in timeout from Asmodeus.
Which was repeated in a conversation later.
Yeah.
It didn't work out.
And so they told her that your best bet is talking to one of her high-ranking minions. And my sense immediately like, do we have to go talk to the Abishai? He's like, no, you have to go. Who's the Abishai?
Yeah, this guy just sits in a helmet all day. He doesn't know that the Abishai has replaced Arkhan as kind of the right hand. So
it is very few visitors.
Yeah, so he just sent us to Arkhan's tower, where we met. Oh, today was the day that we finally got to use
Arkhan the Cruel's gang.
Yeah, I bought the miniatures for his gang forever ago because I just thought they looked super cool.
They are super cool.
They're very well done minis. And we got to use most of them. We didn't get to use...
We didn't get to use the Berserker or the Manticore.
Yeah, Chongo or whatever his name is.
His name is actually Chongo.
Yeah.
But we got to use Arkhan, we got to use Trogar, the Minotaur, we got to use the
Abishai
White
Kroll.
Abishai, and Arkhan himself, and Kroll.
Yeah, so we went to Kroll, and Kroll was like, yo, what up? Arkhan's not here.
Yeah, he basically, and I'm not going to repeat the voice because he talks really slow as a turtle, but they approach the tower, and they're automatically notified that they have visitors because there's this adult white dragon sitting at the top of Arkhan's 200-foot tower.
Yeah.
Or at the top. And he roars, and Kroll's immediately notified. And he says, who are you and what are you doing here? And
back to what everyone else does, because I'm on a Devil's Ride, which is a motorcycle, Mad Max motorcycle. They're in like a Mad Max dune buggy type thing. They always park 200 meters or whatever away from anything.
It's like they get out, they park that far away to not arouse suspicion and I guess try to approach stealthily, but no one ever tries to make a stealth check upon their approach.
I don't think they're trying to be stealthy. I think they're trying to make it look like they aren't a threat because they aren't pulling up in an armored vehicle or something.
Maybe.
I don't know, because I think they think it's safer. But isn't it safer to approach in an armored vehicle?
Yeah, unless you come out guns blazing, every well-to-do denizen of hell has a Devil's Ride or some form of transportation that's similar.
Drizzt did things to make sure he didn't look like a threat. He slowed his approach, but he didn't just stop and walk the whole way.
Yeah, so
it's such a weird thing to do.
But they do arrive at the foot of the tower, and they are notified. And Kroll comes out with 4 gassed bodyguards that he controls, because he is a death priest of Tiamat. It's basically like a priest necromancer. And he comes out and says, who are you and what are you doing? And right away, immediately... who was it who talked to him first? It was either you or Corvus, I want to say.
It was I did a lot of the talking for that. My guy was really trying to insert himself into the conversation because he didn't trust them to do it.
Oh yeah,
because they screw up everything.
And before we do that, the first thing...
I did tell him to cover his shield.
Yeah, you did tell Mysan to cover his shield, or at least put it on his back so it was less conspicuous.
I told him to cover it, and then he put it on his back, and I was like, that's not going to work, but Kroll's out now, and there's no time. And I was right. It didn't work. It did for Kroll.
Because he never saw Mysan's back.
Yeah, but not later. So Kroll's like, oh, you got that orb? That's pretty dope. I'll take you there. And then there's like, he had a bus, an Infernal War Machine
it was
bus.
it was a scavenger, which can, including the driver, it can seat like 8 to 10 people.
It was a ferry to go to like the battlefield they were on or whatever, the front.
It was just a camp. There was no battles going on. It's just they're waiting to be shipped out for whatever Tiamat or Zariel needs them to do.
Gotcha. So it took us to that, and Corvus and I rode in it because we were like, oh, that'll save us a bunch of gas. And then my stem was like, no, I'm driving my car.
And Lulu accompanied him because she didn't trust being in a
Yeah.
small space with a bunch of devil-worshipping Tiamat cultists.
Lulu didn't talk a lot today, but you also had a lot of NPCs to run.
Yeah, it was a little overwhelming.
Yeah, so there were actually times where we forgot Lulu was there. So we go there. Arkhan's not happy to be interrupted, and I whip out the Orb of Dragonkind, and he's like, "Oh, that's a bit more interesting." And then the Minotaur, flame fist,
Shogar
Stone Fist. Okay, he's like, "What's this?" And he rips Myastan's shield off his back and slams it on the table, and they're all like, "You little piggy." And then Corvus was like, oh, let me now throw on my... Well, he threw on the Tiamat cultist mask, but not before approaching Krull. So he was like talking to Krull, and then he was like, threw the mask on, and he was like, how about now?
What? That's not mine?
Which is a weird way...
I don't know where that shield came from. Whose is that?
No.
So Arkhan immediately gets upset because he's like, Bahamut, we don't like your kind around here, so start talking.
Corvus did some good deception. He was like, look at my mask, look at my dagger. I'm a Tiamat cultist myself, and I work with him because there's a lot of big stuff going on.
And sometimes you have to make unlikely alliances to get your true objectives completed.
Yeah, and then Drizzt was like, hey, look, there's a Bahamut guy willing to help Tiamat out here. That's like a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And that didn't fly. They didn't take to that. But then I was like, what about Charir? And that, oof.
And he said, do not mention that person's name in my presence ever again. Because the relationship with Charir and Arkhan is Arkhan used to be top dog in Tiamat's army. And then all of a sudden, here comes Charir, the Red Abishai, with Bahamut's magical axe. And all of a sudden, Arkhan was like now playing second fiddle. He didn't like that. And he is under orders to work with Charir, kind of like how, based on the religion check we did earlier, Bel is required to assist Zariel even though they hate each other.
Yeah.
So Arkhan would love to see Charir deposed, but he is forbidden from outright overthrowing him directly. So some things happen, and after Myastan is called out, Drizzt requests that they exchange the Orb of Dragonkind for the Vial. And there's a little bit of a roleplay moment where after Arkhan goes with the orb to commune with Tiamat, Corvus's little orb and raven starts vibrating, and he answers it, and it's not the Raven Queen. It is the gruff voice of a male who says, "Speak when safe. Speak when safe."
Who was that, by the way? Can you tell me that?
Yes, I can.
On air?
I can. So that was, and he explained to Corvus who he was. He was a Shadar Kai.
Oh, he might have done that while I was in the bathroom.
He was a Shadar Kai agent who, if you know what they are the elite assassins, errand runners, and advisors to the Raven Queen herself. She dispatches them whenever she needs something big done. And they are, for all intents and purposes, immortal. Unless they're killed in the Shadowfell where they were created, they can go anywhere they want. And if they're killed, they immediately respawn back in the Shadowfell. So they can't die, per se. And so they saw through the eye that Corvus has in his raven on his shoulder, Arkhan's right hand, which is currently he's fighting for control over it with the hand of Vecna.
Yeah, the mini is the left hand, which is weird. Yeah.
I may have gotten it mixed up, but
no, I assumed you were just reading it out of the book. I actually assumed the mini was wrong and not you.
Well, either way, I just said a hand, and I just stuck with it. If I'm going to be wrong, I'm at least going to be consistent.
I don't think it really matters.
It doesn't.
They're doing most of them, they were all digital, looking at the mini through a camera anyways.
And I made it very clear to the players through my roleplay that one, Arkhan was clearly in pain because he kept talking like he was hurt. And he kept doing weird things with his hand. Like, he would always twitch. He was constantly rubbing it out of discomfort. And he just was not having a good time with it. And Corvus he says, okay, I want to go try and talk to my Raven privately. I'm like, okay, make a stealth check. Because even though Arkhan's not here, the tent is still populated with friends and enemies. So let's see if anyone sees you do it. And he rolled a nat 1.
Move.
Yeah. So Trogar immediately says, hey, what are you doing? Who are you talking to? And he grabs the Raven off his shoulder with the eye still in its mouth. And Corvus says, I want to roll a deception. And I said, okay, what are you going to tell him? He says, I'm going to tell him that I'm crazy and that I just like talking to animals. And I said, okay, roll deception. And
there were so many other things he could have said, and that's...
And this was a high deception check. Like, it was going to have to... He had to roll at least like an 18 or something to convince this guy that he was just crazy talking to his animals. Because the Raven is also, like, translucent. Like, this isn't an animal Raven. This is a spirit Raven. And he didn't roll a nat 20. But with the modifier, he did roll a 25. So I said, okay, Trogar throws the Raven back at you and says... He basically just says, have your conversation with your damn bird and then shut up. And then he walks away.
So then he pretends to go pee and has it behind the tent, which worked a lot better.
And so they have a very brief conversation where the Shigar Kai agent tells him, he says, do you know what that was on Arkhan the Cruel's hand? Or what was it replacing it? And he said, it just looks like a weird color. What is it? He says, that is the hand of Vecna.
The arch enemy of the Raven Queen. So They were like, you gotta tell us as much as you can about it and the forces they have here so that we can come take it.
Yeah, and because the guy said, like, we don't expect you to rip this guy's hand off in a stealthy way that won't get you killed. Like, this is not a one-man job.
I think Corvus was like, what's in it for me? You gonna teach me how to fight better? And he was like, what's in it for you? You're serving your goddess. This is what you signed up for.
Well, he did say that they would reward him. Like, the Raven Queen does give boons. Don't get me wrong. She will reward
well, of course she does. He's a warlock.
But then when the guy said, yeah, we can teach you either magical or non-magical means of becoming more proficient with weapons, he wanted to, like, liberate. Well, how successful will you make me at fighting and training with them? And they're like, semantics. We'll talk about that later. How well you do this job with gathering information will determine how well you're rewarded. And after that, he proceeded to roll like crap.
Every time he did a check involving the hand of Vecna, it was never above a 4. No, half of them were nat 1s. Literally half. We counted.
Oh my god. And so, Arkhan does return
with the vial,
with a 1 ounce vial of Tiamat's blood.
Places it on their war table, and then Corvus asks about the hand. And before he even rolls, my guy sleight of hands the vial.
You roll after modifiers. You had like a 22.
Yeah.
And I didn't even say it on camera. I'm like, you just pocket that thing.
Yeah. I slipped it because I was like, he's about to get mad at us, and he did because he asked him about the hand of Vecna to try to persuade him to talk about it. Rolled a nat 1.
Yeah, basically, the first time Corvus brought it up, he got offended and just said, you need to mind your own business. And then he said something else. He tried to persuade him to bring out more information. And then Arkhan got really mad, throws his axe and buries it in the table. And I think the words I used were, it would behoove your health to change the subject.
Something like that. I don't know.
And so he pretty much just ends it there. And then he tried doing a perception check to see like how far the extent of the hand becoming assimilated had come. And he rolled like a 3.
He was having trouble.
So basically the only thing that he gleaned from that whole incident was just that he has the hand of Arkhan and he's got like 100 soldiers with him at all times.
Yeah, he rolled 2 1s, a 3, and a 4. It was insane. So then we left. We went back to first we went back to get my devil's ride, and then we went back to our little spine devil that's not a spine devil.
And Uldrak very excitedly and hastily grabbed the vial and drank every little drop of blood that he could get out of that thing, and he immediately transformed into his Empyrean or Titan form, and now his voice actually fit his figure.
And you finally got to use that Empyrean mini that you had forever.
I think Baldur's Gate is the first D&D 5e supplement that actually uses an Empyrean in their story. He doesn't stay around long.
I think that's true. I think that's actually true.
He doesn't stay around long. Like, he literally just hangs around to give... He gave the party 10 gallons worth of his own blood.
Yeah, he put it in a vial, which was small for him but big for us. And then I'm carrying it, and I'm the only one without a bag of holding. So I'm like, someone take this, please. It's so big.
And he says, all right, thank you. Deal's the deal. Here's your blood. I'm out. Phase shifted. Or plane shifted.
And we were like, ooh-wee.
And so then we decided to end the story right there.
We only had about 10 minutes left in the session anyways. So
yeah. So the party now had the Titan's blood that they needed to free the Tao. And we are going to pick that up there next week for our next... Or not, maybe not next week, but we're going to pick it up for our next session.
Yeah, so that's Descent into Avernus Part 14. We got a lot done. I think this was the best session yet. Everyone got a lot of equal roleplay and combat. We got through a lot of different things, a lot of different places. We had some fun inter-party roleplay. I was really expecting more roleplay when I popped that soul coin in, but it's all good. We still had plenty.
You were expecting roleplay, but it was actually me. Pity.
I honestly thought no one would ever ask me about the wedding ring on my necklace, but I'm glad they did.
I think Glendon asked you because he wants people to ask him about his backstory. He's like, I want people to ask me about my backstory. Why is no one asking me about my backstory?
Well, on the times he's prompted it, I didn't have a player character. I was just co-DMing, remember?
Yeah.
So I couldn't. And KeelCat wanted to, but she was too nervous and felt like she shouldn't ask. Crazy stuff. And Drizzt doesn't care yet. Drizzt's not even sure he likes them yet. He's still very mad at them for messing him up. But yeah, I thought I did great today. I got to use my new feat multiple times. I finally started using my maneuvers. I didn't use those last time because I was still kind of figuring them out.
That's how you beat one of those Banshee, or it was either the Banshee or one of the Shambling Mounds.
The Banshee was about to kill Corvus. Dead. And I used one to make it come to me and give Corvus advantage on attacking it.
Yeah, you aggroed it so that it wouldn't finish him off.
Yeah, that was real useful.
Because that's the funny thing about Banshees. They're only like a CR4 creature, but when they use their shout, it doesn't deal damage. You're just instantly at 0 HP and unconscious. And if all of the party goes down at once, the Banshee can just take its time finishing off players.
Yeah, and the thing about the Banshee is I don't have any magical anything at all. I got like the drow spells you just get for your Fey ancestry or whatever. Dancing Lights, Fairy Fire, and Darkness. None of those would have helped me. Darkness would have made things worse. the way we were set up on the mat.
Uh-huh.
Lots of pictures from the session will be on the tabletop. Will be on the B3 Podcast's Facebook page, by the way. Link in the description. But yeah, so I really got to use those a lot today. It was good. It was a good session. I need to take the vial of Tiamat blood off my thing. You even gave us a level. I didn't think we'd get a level because we just got one.
Well, the book recommends that everyone be at a certain level by this point with Uldrak. But you also have to remember, you guys fought nothing less than a challenge rating 4 creature today in combat. And then you also had a bunch of good role play. So I think the extra level would be justified. You fought 3 Shambling Mounds, 2 Banshees, and technically 1 Treant, but if you think about it with all the trees it awoken, it was more like 3 Treants.
I do actually have one question.
What was that?
What happened to the silver grenade? Did we not earn it?
Oh, I totally forgot about it. We'll fit it in later somewhere.
Okay. Because for Charir, this morning, right before the session, we homebrewed a silver grenade to use against Charir, the Avishai, and I was like, oh, I guess we made Arkhan too mad for him to give it to us.
But no, I just straight up forgot.
You just forgot.
We'll fit it in. I'll fit it in somewhere else.
You can just retcon it, say he gave it to us if you want, or just not give it to us at all. I think we'll be fine. We do pretty well for ourselves.
Yeah.
I don't think we really need it, but it was basically just a grenade The shrapnel was silver. It did regular grenade damage, but the silver would do more to devils and stuff. And I think it was going to give Charir disadvantage on the saving throw for it.
Yeah, because basically the way frag grenades work in D&D is they have an area of effect, and then, like a fireball spell, they have to make a dex saving throw to minimize the damage they get. And because Charir is basically a devil, he would have like silver shards get up under his skin. Like, it would not be fun for him getting all that silver shrapnel. So that would basically be a little bit of a head start on damage, and then give him a disadvantage debuff as the fight went on.
Yeah, he's tough, but I think they can take him. It'll be fun. So yeah, I need to level up my character. Are you going to help me with that?
Yeah, we'll do that after the podcast.
Yeah, I don't like to do it by myself. So yeah, that is it, everyone. I don't think we have anything to announce or anything.
Just look forward to the next D&D session.
Yeah, we're getting close to the end of Descent into Avernus.
Yeah.
We're getting very, very close to the end. And then it's Call of Cthulhu time.
Yep. I think, because let's see, we have the next session. The players should arrive at some point at the Bleeding Citadel as planned. And then after their encounters there, they are going to head right back to El Truel and face Zariel.
It's going to be wild.
It'll be epic, possibly scary.
I can't wait to bow down to Zariel and betray them to save my own skin.
You would do that if things got grim.
It kind of is a thing he would do, so they better start making reparations for what they did to me before then. That's it. Thank you all once again for your support. Please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. Check out all the cool links in the description below. And we will see you all next time when we do more stuff and things.
Yeah, do the thing.